Mezzogiorno alpino by Giosuè Carducci. This is a LibriVox recording, read in honor of the 12th anniversary of LibriVox. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Mezzogiorno alpino. Nel gran cerchio delle Alpi, sul granito squallido e scialbo, su ghiacciai cadenti, regna, sereno, intenso ed infinito, nel suo grande silenzio, il mezzodì. Pini ed abeti, senz'aura di venti, si drizzano nel sol che gli penetra. Sola garrisce, in picciol suon di cetra, l'acqua, che tenue tra i sassi fluì. End of Mezzogiorno alpino by Giosuè Carducci, read by Fabiola.
The 12 Huntsmen by the Brother Grimm. This is a LibriVox recording, read in honor of the 12th anniversary of LibriVox. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. There was once a king's son who had a bride whom he loved very much, and when he was sitting beside her and very happy, news came that his father lay sick unto death and desired to see him once again before his end. Then he said to his beloved, "I must now go and leave you. I give you a ring as a remembrance of me. When I am king, I will return and fetch you." So he rode away, and when he reached his father, the latter was dangerously ill and near his death. He said to him, "Dear son, I wish to see you once again before my end. Promise me to marry as I wish." And he named a certain king's daughter who was to be his wife. The son was in such trouble that he did not think what he was doing, and said, "Yes, dear father, your will shall be done." And thereupon the king shut his eyes and died. When therefore the son had been proclaimed king, and the time of mourning was over, he was forced to keep the promise which he had given his father, and caused the king's daughter to be asked in marriage, and she was promised to him. His first betrothed heard of this, and fretted so much about his faithfulness that she nearly died. Then her father said to her, "Dearest child, why are you so sad? You shall have whatsoever you will." She thought for a moment and said, "Dear father, I wish for 11 girls exactly like myself in face, figure and size." The father said, "If it be possible, your desire shall be fulfilled." And he caused a search to be made in his whole kingdom, until 11 young maidens were found who exactly resembled his daughter in face, figure and size. When they came to the king's daughter, she had 12 suits of huntsmen clothes made, all alike, and the 11 maidens had to put on the huntsmen clothes. And she herself put on the 12th suit. Thereupon she took her leave of her father and rode away with them, and rode to the court of her former betrothed, whom she loved so dearly. Then she asked if he required any huntsmen, and if he would take all of them into his service. The king looked at her and did not know her, but as they were such handsome fellows, he said yes, and that he would willingly take them. And now they were the king's 12 huntsmen. The king, however, had a lion, which was a wondrous animal, for he knew all concealed and secret things. It came to pass that one evening he said to the king, "You think you have 12 huntsmen?" "Yes," said the king, "they are 12 huntsmen." The lion continued, "You are mistaken. They are 12 girls." The king said, "That cannot be true. How will you prove that to me?" "Oh, just let some peas be strewn in the antechamber," answered the lion, "and then you will soon see. Men have a firm step, and when they walk over peas, none of them stir, but girls trip and skip and drag their feet, and the peas roll about. The king was well pleased with the counsel, and caused the peas to be strewn. There was, however, a servant of the king's who favoured the huntsmen, and when he heard that they were going to be put to this test, he went to them and repeated everything and said, "The lion wants to make the king believe that you are girls." Then the king's daughter thanked him and said to her maidens, "Show some strength and step firmly on the peas." So next morning, when the king had the 12 huntsmen called before him, and they came into the antechamber where the peas were lying, they stepped so firmly on them and had such a strong, sure walk that not one of the peas either rolled or stirred. Then they went away again, and the king said to the lion, "You have lied to me. They walk just like men." The lion said, "They have been informed that they were going to be put to the test, and have assumed some strength. Just let 12 spinning wheels be brought into the antechamber, and they will go to them and be pleased with them, and that is what no man would do." The king liked the advice and had the spinning wheels placed in the antechamber. But the servant, who was well disposed to the huntsmen, went to them and disclosed the project. So when they were alone, the king's daughter said to her 11 girls, "Show some constraint and do not look round at the spinning wheels." And next morning, when the king had the 12 huntsmen summoned, they went through the antechamber and never once looked at the spinning wheels. Then the king again said to the lion, "You have deceived me. They are men, for they have not looked at the spinning wheels." The lion replied, "They have restrained themselves." The king, however, would no longer believe the lion. The 12 huntsmen always followed the king to the chase, and his liking for them continually increased. Now it came to pass that once, when they were out hunting, news came that the king's bride was approaching. When the true bride heard that, it hurt her so much that her heart was almost broken, and she fell fainting to the ground. The king thought something had happened to his dear huntsman, ran up to him, wanted to help him, and drew his glove off. Then he saw the ring which he had given to his first bride, and when he looked in her face, he recognized her. Then his heart was so touched that he kissed her, and when she opened her eyes, he said, "You are mine, and I am yours, and no one in the world can alter that." He sent a messenger to the other bride and entreated her to return to her own kingdom, for he had a wife already, and someone who had just found an old key did not require a new one. Thereupon the wedding was celebrated, and the lion was again taken into favor, because after all he had told the truth. End of the 12 Huntsmen by the Brother Grimm.
Se bate miezul nopții de Mihai Eminescu. A citit în limba română Livia. Aceasta este o înregistrare LibriVox citită în cinstea celei de-a 12-a aniversări a LibriVox. Toate înregistrările LibriVox sunt în domeniul public. Pentru mai multe informații sau pentru a deveni voluntar, te rog să vizitezi LibriVox.org. Se bate miezul nopții. Se bate miezul nopții în clopotul de aramă și somnul vameș vieții nu vrea să-mi ieie vamă. Pe căi bătute adesea vrea mintea să mă poarte, să asamăn într-oaltă viață și cu moarte. Ci cumpăna gândirimi și azi nu se mai schimbă, căci între amândouă stă neclintita limbă. Sfârșitul poeziei Se bate miezul nopții de Mihai Eminescu.
The West Eastern Divan in 12 books. by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, 1749 to 1832, from Book 4, Book of Reflections, Section 12. This is a LibriVox recording read in honor of the 12th anniversary of LibriVox. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Question not through what gate of grace into God's city thou hast come, but where at first thou tookest thy place, there bide, and fill thy quiet room. Then gaze around, behold the wise, the mighty, set in high command, those the enlighteners of thine eyes, these to add virtue to thy hand. If, loyal servant of the state, thy tranquil uses thou dost prove, know thou shalt suffer no man's hate, and many men will yield thee love. The life of action, faithfulness, the prince shall fail not to behold. The new things shall be seen no less firm in endurance than the old. If strong and gentle, thou thy round of life shall run, and touch the goal, thou in thy measure shalt be found, exemplar to some younger soul. Footnote: This poem was sent from Wiesbaden, 30th May 1815, with 2 other stanzas, for the jubilee of work of the Weimar officials, Kerms and Schard. End footnote. End of the West Eastern Divan in 12 books by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, 1749 to 1832, from Book 4, the Book of Reflections, Section 12.
Song of Myself, Section 12, by Walt Whitman. This is a LibriVox recording, read in honor of the 12th anniversary of LibriVox. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Song of Myself, Section 12, by Walt Whitman, read by Chris Pyle. The butcher boy puts off his killing clothes or sharpens his knife at the stall in the market. I loiter, enjoying his repartee and his shuffle and breakdown. Blacksmiths with grimed and hairy chests environ the anvil. Each has his main sledge. They are all out. There is a great heat in the fire. From the cinder-strewed threshold I follow their movements. The lithe shear of their waists plays even with their massive arms. Overhand the hammers swing, overhand so slow, overhand so sure. They do not hasten, each man hits in his place. End of Song of Myself, Section 12, by Walt Whitman. Read by Chris Pyle.
Twelfth Night, from Beautiful Stories from Shakespeare, by E. Nesbit. This is a LibriVox recording, read in honor of the 12th anniversary of LibriVox. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Orsino, the Duke of Illyria, was deeply in love with a beautiful countess named Olivia. Yet was all his love in vain, for she disdained his suit. And when her brother died, she sent back a messenger from the Duke, bidding him tell his master that for 7 years she would not let the very air behold her face, but that, like a nun, she would walk veiled, and all this for the sake of a dead brother's love, which she would keep fresh and lasting in her sad remembrance. The Duke longed for someone to whom he could tell his sorrow, and repeat over and over again the story of his love. And chance brought him such a companion, for about this time a goodly ship was wrecked on the Illyrian coast, and among those who reached land in safety were the captain and a fair young maid named Viola. But she was little grateful for being rescued from the perils of the sea, since she feared that her twin brother was drowned, Sebastian, as dear to her as the heart in her bosom, and so like her that, but for the difference in their manner of dress, one could hardly be told from the other. The captain, for her comfort, told her that he had seen her brother bind himself to a strong mast that lived upon the sea, and that there was hope that he might be saved. Viola now asked in whose country she was, and learning that the Duke Orsino ruled there, and was as noble in his nature as in his name, she decided to disguise herself in male attire, and seek for employment with him as a page. In this she succeeded, and now from day to day she had to listen to the story of Orsino's love. At first she sympathized very truly with him, but soon her sympathy grew to love. At last it occurred to Orsino that his hopeless love-suit might prosper better if he sent this pretty lad to woo Olivia for him. Viola unwillingly went on this errand, but when she came to the house, Malvolio, Olivia's steward, a vain, officious man, sick, as his mistress told him, of self-love, forbade the messenger admittance. Viola, however, who was now called Cesario, refused to take any denial, and vowed to have speech with the Countess. Olivia, hearing how her instructions were defied, and curious to see this daring youth, said, "We'll once more hear Orsino's embassy." When Viola was admitted to her presence and the servants had been sent away, she listened patiently to the reproaches which this bold messenger from the Duke poured upon her, and listening, she fell in love with the supposed Cesario, and when Cesario had gone, Olivia longed to send some love token after him. So, calling Malvolio, she bade him follow the boy. "He left his ring behind him," she said, taking one from her finger. "Tell him I will none of it." Malvolio did as he was bid, and then Viola, who of course knew perfectly well that she had left no ring behind her, saw with a woman's quickness that Olivia loved her. Then she went back to the Duke, very sad at heart for her lover, and for Olivia, and for herself. It was but cold comfort she could give Orsino, who now sought to ease the pangs of despised love by listening to sweet music, while Cesario stood by his side. "Ah," said the Duke to his page that night, "you too have been in love." "A little," answered Viola. "What kind of woman is it?" he asked. "Of your complexion," she answered. "What years, i' faith?" was his next question. To this came the pretty answer, "About your years, my lord." "Too old, by heaven," cried the Duke. "Let still the woman take an elder than herself." And Viola very meekly said, "I think it will well, my lord." By and by Orsino begged Cesario once more to visit Olivia, and to plead his love-suit, but she, thinking to dissuade him, said, "If some lady loved you as you love Olivia—" "Ah, that cannot be," said the Duke. "But I know," Viola went on, "what love woman may have for a man. My father had a daughter loved a man, as it might be," she added, blushing. "Perhaps, were I a woman, I should love your lordship." "And what is her history?" he asked. "A blank, my lord," Viola answered. "She never told her love, but let concealment, like a worm in the bud, feed on her damask cheek. She pined in thought, and with a green and yellow melancholy she sat, like Patience on a monument, smiling at grief. Was not this love indeed?" "She died thy sister of her love, my boy?" the Duke asked, and Viola, who had all the time been telling her own love for him in this pretty fashion, said, "I am all the daughters my father has, and all the brothers. Sir, shall I go to the lady?" "To her in haste," said the Duke, at once forgetting all about the story, "and give her this jewel." So Viola went, and this time poor Olivia was unable to hide her love, and openly confessed it with such passionate truth, that Viola left her hastily saying, "Nevermore will I deplore my master's tears to you." But in vowing this, Viola did not know the tender pity she would feel for others' suffering. So when Olivia, in the violence of her love, sent a messenger praying Cesario to visit her once more, Cesario had no heart to refuse the request. But the favours which Olivia bestowed upon this mere page aroused the jealousy of Sir Andrew Ogcheek, a foolish rejected lover of hers, who at that time was staying at her house with her merry old uncle Sir Toby. This same Sir Toby dearly loved a practical joke, and knowing Sir Andrew to be an arrant coward, he thought that if he could bring off a duel between him and Cesario, there would be rare sport indeed. So he induced Sir Andrew to send a challenge, which he himself took to Cesario. The poor page, in great terror, said, "I will return again to the house. I am no fighter." "Back you shall not to the house," said Sir Toby, "unless you fight me first." And as he looked a very fierce old gentleman, Viola thought it best to await Sir Andrew's coming, and when he at last made his appearance, in a great fright, if the truth had been known, she tremblingly drew her sword, and Sir Andrew in like fear followed her example. Happily for them both, at this moment some officers of the court came in on the scene, and stopped the intended duel. Viola gladly made off with what speed she might, while Sir Toby called after her, "A very paltry boy, and more a coward than a hare." Now, while these things were happening, Sebastian had escaped all the dangers of the deep, and had landed safely in Illyria, where he determined to make his way to the Duke's court. On his way thither, he passed Olivia's house, just as Viola had left it, in such a hurry, and whom should he meet but Sir Andrew and Sir Toby. Sir Andrew, mistaking Sebastian for the cowardly Cesario, took his courage in both hands, and walking up to him, struck him, saying, "There's for you." "Why, there's for you, and there," said Sebastian, bidding back a great deal harder, and again, till Sir Toby came to the rescue of his friend. Sebastian, however, tore himself free from Sir Toby's clutches, and drawing his sword, would have fought them both, but that Olivia herself, having heard of the quarrel, came running in, and with what reproaches sent Sir Toby and his friend away. Then, turning to Sebastian, whom she thought to be Cesario, she besought him with many a pretty speech to come into the house with her. Sebastian, half dazed, and all delighted with her beauty and grace, readily consented, and that very day, so great was Olivia's baste, they were married before she had discovered that he was not Cesario, or Sebastian was quite certain whether or not he was in a dream. While Orsino, hearing how ill Cesario sped with Olivia, visited her himself, taking Cesario with him. Olivia met them both before her door, and seeing, as she thought, her husband there, reproached him for leaving her, while to the Duke she said that his suit was as fat and wholesome to her as howling after music. "Still so cruel," said Orsino. "Still so constant," she answered. Then Orsino's anger growing to cruelty, he vowed that, to be revenged on her, he would kill Cesario, whom he knew she loved. "Come, boy," he said to the page, and Viola, following him as she moved away, said, "I, to do you rest, 1,000 deaths would die." A great fear took hold on Olivia, and she cried aloud, "Cesario, husband, stay!" "Her husband?" asked the Duke angrily. "No, my lord, not I," said Viola. "Call forth the Holy Father," cried Olivia, and the priest whom had married Sebastian and Olivia, coming in, declared Cesario to be the bridegroom. "O thou dissembling cub," the Duke exclaimed, "farewell and take her, but go where thou and I henceforth may never meet." At this moment Sir Andrew came up with bleeding crown, complaining that Cesario had broken his head, and Sir Toby's as well. "I never hurt you," said Viola very positively. "You drew your sword on me, but I bespoke you fair, and hurt you not." Yet for all her protesting, no one there believed her, but all their thoughts were on a sudden changed to wonder, when Sebastian came in. "I am sorry, madam," he said to his wife, "I have hurt your kinsman. Pardon me, sweet, even for the vows we made each other so late ago." "One face, one voice, one habit, and 2 persons?" cried the Duke, looking first at Viola, and then at Sebastian. "An apple cleft in 2, said one who knew Sebastian, "is not more twin than these 2 creatures. Which is Sebastian?" "I never had a brother," said Sebastian. "I had a sister, whom the blind waves and surges had devoured." "Were you a woman," he said to Viola, "I should let my tears fall upon your cheek, and say, 'Thrice welcomed, drowned Viola.'" Then Viola, rejoicing to see her dead brother alive, confessed that she was indeed his sister Viola. As she spoke, Orsino felt the pity that is akin to love. "Boy," he said, "thou hast said to me 1,000 times thou never shouldest love woman like to me." "And all those sayings will I overswear," Viola replied, "and all those swearings keep true." Give me thy hand. Orsino cried in gladness. Thou shalt be my wife and my fancy's queen. Thus was the gentle Viola made happy, while Olivia found in Sebastian a constant lover and a good husband, and he in her a true and loving wife. End of Twelfth Night, by William Shakespeare, retold by E. Nesbit, and read by Amy Graymore in Holton, Maine.
The LibriVox 12th Anniversary Song, sung to the tune of the Yuppity Song, traditional folk song. Celebratory LibriVox lyrics by Maria Kasper. This is a LibriVox recording, sung in honor of the 12th anniversary of LibriVox. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org.
Do you remember how at first to LibriVox you found your way?
What was the book that brought you here and made you want to stay? The first you heard, the first you read, the first that got stuck in your head. Happy birthday, LibriVox! A dozen years of books galore. Wishing you, dear LibriVox, a dozen more. Yeehaw! Some have been here since the dawn, the founding crew, the lucky few. Most of us came later on, but we are lucky too.
Oh yeah.
We found somewhere to freely share the books we love with folks who care.
Happy birthday, LibriVox.
A dozen years of books galore. Wishing you, dear LibriVox, a dozen more.
Yay!
Together we have learned about audacity and microphones. When copyright gives us a doubt, we know we're not alone.
For here are then
From Maryland's encouragement and helping hands. Happy birthday, LibriVox! A dozen years of books galore.
Wishing you, dear LibriVox,
A dozen more.
while I drive to work each day.
A book helps make my journey fly.
When to sleep I drift away. A book's my lullaby.
you read to me.
I read to you. I'm glad I joined this merry crew. Gratulerar med dagen, LibriVox, att du ser enorma massa böcker.
Wishing you, dear LibriVox, a dozen more.
Happy birthday, LibriVox, a dozen years of books galore. Wishing you, dear LibriVox, a dozen more.
Van harte gefeliciteerd.
Whoopee!
End of the LibriVox 12th Anniversary Song, sung by 10 enthusiastic LibriVoxiteers.